Unbiased and on the fence, this is Shane. I wanted to do a quick video here because I get a lot of images where people are noticing things that I noticed while taking pictures, like these beams coming out of the sun. And when you zoom in here, sometimes you'll notice these horizontal lines when you're looking at the sun. And I remember when I first saw these, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a picture of the Matrix here or something. I thought it was something strange, but then I discovered that if you take video while you're using the digital zoom or pictures with the digital zoom, it seems to cause this effect. And you can tell because, like in this video here, as I twist the camera, the lines stay horizontal to the frame. They don't twist with the picture, so that lets you know that it's coming from the camera. And almost all of these pictures nowadays, you capture this rainbowy iridescence around the sun. But I also want to take a look at these streaks you see coming out of the sun, these beams. And these are actually caused from oil on your finger. You can see when I wipe the camera here, it changes the direction of the beam, and it's sort of hard to wipe it off really good. Sometimes using, a cleaner or alcohol, rubbing alcohol or something, but you can see every time I wipe it, it goes the direction that I'm wiping it. So let's look at these, the lens flare here. That's this green. Sometimes it shows up as purple. It depends on the camera and the coating on the lens, but you can see all around it here. It's much bigger than the area you see. You can see it extending far beyond it once you get in this dark area here. And the way you can tell it's a lens flare is because all of these artifacts caused by the lens flare will be in a straight line. So here we see that it's always opposite the frame. The brightest part of the lens flare will be opposite of the frame from where the light source is. So you see when the sun's in the top left, bottom right corner is the lens flare, and vice versa as we move there. So a lot of times if you're pointing right at the sun and it's right in the middle, then the lens flare will be right in the middle, and it will cause some strangeness. As we zoom in here, you can see that the image stabilization will cause the lens flare to bump around and move around a lot more than the actual sun, because it's trying to keep the image steady, and it does a pretty good job, but you can see the lens flare is going crazy because of the shakiness of my hand. So that's why it doesn't appear to be a lens flare, and it's moving independent. But you can see there that you can actually see the branches that's covering the sun showing up in the lens flare. So we know that that's it's not any kind of orb flying around, even though it kind of looks like it. Also, when you look at these images zoomed in, the orb, that the lens flare orb there that you see is much bigger than if you're zoomed out. But it dances all around because of the image stabilization. As you see, if we zoom out here, there's actually a lens flare on the opposite side. You can see in the bottom right corner, it's across from the bright one. And you can actually see there, if you were to take a picture like that and you see that blue dot up there, it would almost appear like you caught some kind of orb in the sky. But there on the opposite side, once again, you see another one up there, see it moving there. But you can also see that it's in a straight line from all three are in a row here with the light source. So that's a way to determine that it is indeed just the lens flare. Another thing I wanted to go over is adjusting images, like the contrast and brightness after you've taken the picture rather than while you're taking the picture. So you can see here, I can tone down, adjust the camera itself to reveal that the sun is much brighter than these clouds. But if I don't adjust it, you can see some of the clouds look just as bright as the sun. And this is where some of these dual sun pictures come from. Just the strange clouds will make it look like it. But if we speed it up here, you can see as the sun goes down, the reflection off of those highly reflective clouds from what they're spraying up there. It can be really strange. And you see I can adjust it the other way and make the whole sky light up really bright because it's really overworking the camera too bright. So let's compare the difference between a photo like this where it hasn't been adjusted and you've got a sun with two clouds that's nearly as bright, because you can imagine if those clouds were round, it would look like other suns right next to it, right? But if you adjust the camera, instead of trying to adjust the picture after you've taken the picture, you can see that the sun is much brighter than those clouds, even though it doesn't appear to be when you're just looking at it. So on my camera, everyone's different, but you see there's the mode button. I can push the mode button. It's on auto. I can switch it to pro. This is on a Samsung Galaxy 6. Every phone's going to be a little different, I'm sure. But once you go into pro mode, you can see here, it opens up all these options here. The two that I adjust most would be the shutter here, which you can see it's on 1/24,000th of a second. And then the ISO, which is at its lowest setting. The lower it is, the smaller it is, the less light it lets in. So those two settings are what you want to do for your day and night images. So you can see here, if I just let it auto adjust, it's really bright. And then this is if I adjust it myself. Now let's actually compare the two side by side here. You can see how on the left, unadjusted, the clouds are almost as bright as the sun. So if I go in and I adjust it after the fact, it doesn't matter how I adjust it with contrast and brightness, you can't get the true effect that the sun was brighter than those clouds. It just looks like they're just as bright no matter what you do with it. Now, if we look at these pictures here now with these clouds, whatever they're spraying, you can see the iridescence that's in it. You can see the lens flare again moving around there. But whatever these clouds are, you can see they're extremely opaque sometimes, and it looks like there's some type of craft in front of the sun there. But this is all due to not really adjusting the camera. You can see as we move out, whatever that dot is moves in front of the sun again because the sun appears larger, because the camera is adjusting and letting more light out. But that is just a cloud, from my understanding. I mean, it could be a cloud ship, but I'm pretty sure any kind of craft up there are going to be cloaked. So if you look closer on this, it does really appear to just be a thick, opaque cloud. But you can see if I were to take this picture, put it in and adjust it, it almost looks like a diamond-shaped craft in front of there. So you really want to try to adjust the camera while you're taking the picture rather than taking the picture and then adjusting it afterwards and trying to really see what we're seeing, because you're not really getting a true effect of what's there. Because you can see here it looks like something's in front of the sun, but you can see that rainbow iridescence as well. But zooming in on it, you can tell it's just really opaque clouds that's beginning to go in front of the sun. They just get thicker there. Here you can see unadjusted, it's much brighter. And then if I try to adjust it after the fact, just using contrast and brightness, there's no way to get the true effect of what's going on there. So I wanted to show these night images. Here you can see the halo around the moon, so I left it bright. There we see the lens flare caused by the moon. And this was, you know, in January we had the eclipse. This is unadjusted. And then if you adjust it, you can actually get more detail because it's not so blown out. And then as this is when it was in totality, you can see here, they were actually spraying that night, and that's that sort of wisp cloud you see in front of it there. But this is by adjusting it, opening up the ISO to 800 and slowing the shutter down, I was able to capture a pretty cool picture of the blood moon. So to close, I wanted to share this image, these images here, because I've been taking, once a month I've been taking a trip, just getting out in nature on portal dates, and this month it's going to be the equinox. But while I was on the way there, I was afraid it was going to rain, and it kept looking like I was driving towards like the sun. And over again, it was like these synchronistic, just the way the sun was hitting the highway. And I finally was like, man, I got to start taking pictures of these. I wish I had done it from the get-go, but yeah, they were really amazing shots. So more to come. Lots of love to all of you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.